Okay, so imagine this for a second. You've been dreaming about changing your life. You can picture it perfectly in your head, and you know exactly what you want to do. But why is it that right when we're on the precipice of doing something genuinely great, something just holds us back? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to look really closely at the biological resistance to change, and we'll uncover exactly why our own minds sometimes seem to sabotage our biggest, most exciting dreams. Think about these thrilling, massive life changes. Starting a business, moving to a brand new city, leaving a toxic relationship, or maybe applying for your absolute dream job. These are overwhelmingly positive steps. But the exact moment you finally have the chance to act on them, what happens? You hesitate. Your heart starts racing, your stomach completely ties itself into a knot, and suddenly your mind starts rapidly listing off every single possible thing that could go wrong. It's incredibly frustrating, isn't it? Which brings us to a really crucial mystery. If change could unequivocally make your life better, why does it feel so dangerous? I want to just validate your experience right now, because this hesitation, it's not a personal weakness, it's not a character flaw, and it definitely isn't a lack of ambition. As the source material reveals, this reaction actually has everything to do with how your brain evolved. It's a deeply ingrained biological survival mechanism. Your brain literally treats change like a physical threat. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover the ancient alarm system, predictability versus uncertainty, the trap of familiar problems, rewiring through habits, and finally, steps to overcome fear.
All right, part one, the ancient alarm system.
To really get why change feels so threatening, we kind of have to travel back thousands of years. Imagine living out in the wild with our ancestors. For them, unknown paths, strange people, or wild animals meant literal physical danger. So evolution naturally favored brains that were extremely cautious around the unknown. Now, if you compare those ancient physical threats to modern emotional threats, like a career change or public speaking, there's a big catch. Your brain doesn't always separate physical danger from emotional uncertainty. It inappropriately uses the exact same ancient alarm system for both. So your body responds to a career change as if your actual survival is at stake. Your body reacts first, and then your mind desperately tries to invent reasons to explain why you're suddenly panicking. Moving on to part two, predictability versus uncertainty. Your brain is essentially this giant prediction machine, constantly trying to guess what's going to happen next. When life doesn't follow a familiar pattern, your brain suddenly has to process a bunch of brand new information. It has to make more decisions and prepare for unexpected outcomes. All of that requires really high mental processing, and it burns a lot of energy. Since your brain's ultimate number one goal is to conserve energy, when it's faced with an unexpected change, it sends a very simple, very primitive message: stay where you are. Not because staying is what's best for your future, but simply because it's familiar. It saves energy. It strongly prefers familiarity over a better future just to avoid that discomfort. Which leads us to part three, the trap of familiar problems. Because our biology so badly wants to conserve energy, we fall into a pretty frustrating modern trap. We willingly stay in situations we know are fundamentally bad for us. I mean, have you ever stayed in a stressful job way too long? Or maybe held on to an unhealthy friendship? Or kept doing a bad habit? We don't tolerate these situations because we secretly enjoy suffering. We stay because familiar problems feel infinitely easier for the brain to predict than unfamiliar opportunities. Even if a situation is completely toxic, your brain knows exactly how it's going to play out. It knows the rules of the game, so it doesn't have to burn precious energy trying to predict the outcome. There's a quote from the source material that hits the nail on the head here. It says, "The brain often asks, what if leaving makes things even worse? So it chooses certainty over possibility." Your brain evolved to solve today's problems, right? Not to plan for your happiness next year. It prioritizes short-term safety over long-term reward. If you have two choices, stay exactly where you are or take a risk to dramatically improve your life, logically the risk is better. But emotionally, staying feels safer. And remember, this isn't laziness. This is a deeply ingrained survival instinct asking one simple question: am I safe right now? Okay, part four, rewiring through habits. But here is the good news. We are absolutely not trapped by our biology. We can actually retrain it through this amazing concept called neuroplasticity, which is basically the brain's ability to create new neural pathways through experience. This is our magic weapon for building new habits. Every single time you try something new, you are actively, physically reshaping your brain. You are teaching that ancient alarm system that a change in routine doesn't automatically mean a saber-toothed tiger is about to attack.
So, how do we actually harness this neuroplasticity? Well, it's all about building new habits. Repetition builds confidence. You don't have to just up and quit your job and move to a new country tomorrow. You start small, speak to someone new, learn a new skill, face a really small fear, over and over and over again. Every time you execute one of these small habits, you are actively proving to your brain that uncertainty is actually safe. You're laying down a brand new neural pathway. Because through those small, repeated habits, the unfamiliar simply becomes familiar. What once absolutely terrified you just becomes part of your normal everyday life. You see, true confidence isn't built by avoiding fear. It's built by repeatedly proving your brain's alarm system wrong through these small daily actions. You're essentially training your brain to tolerate and honestly, eventually embrace that feeling of uncertainty. And that brings us to part 5, steps to overcome fear.
Let's distill all these biological insights into a really concrete, practical action plan, because true growth absolutely requires stepping into uncertainty. So here are the specific steps to break the cycle and overcome that fear. Step 1, notice the physical fear response. When your heart races, just pause and acknowledge it. Step 2, recognize it as a sign of unfamiliarity, not danger. Remind yourself that this is just your ancient alarm system trying to save energy. And step 3, keep moving forward to build the new habit. Treat that physical feeling of fear not as a stop sign, but as a biological indicator that you are entering unfamiliar territory. Literally, every successful entrepreneur, athlete, and artist experiences this exact same physical fear. The only difference is they don't mistake it for a signal to quit. They see it as proof they're doing something new, and they push right through it.
So, I want to leave you with one final thought, a really powerful tool you can use immediately the next time you're afraid to make a positive change. Stop, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is this actually dangerous, or is it simply unfamiliar? That single question can completely help you bypass your ancient alarm system, stop letting fear control your future, and allow you to finally use your mind as your greatest advantage.